And then on a side note, which really is not exciting, I bent down to go mount that thing and I caught my pants on where the seat mounts and I just blew out my good pants.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You crazy mother.
What is up, everybody? My name is Dane Thompson. Welcome back to another episode of BurnDown. So, on today's episode, we are back here at KP Fab and Tune. One of my favorite cars ever, by the way. Whoa. Can't wait for that thing to run. But we are messing with my other favorite car, which is mine, the Maliboom. Today we're gonna try to wire up the Transbrake for the most part. That's pretty much all I have to get done. Still waiting on the cage to get welded up, so I'm gonna put my focus on the things that I can do, which is a little bit of wiring. And then last time I came over here, it was like last week, I don't know, I wired up the roll control or line lock. So that way when you hit the brakes, you hold them down and then I have a button you push and it'll basically keep the pressure in the front brakes, and then you can do a burnout, you let the button go, and then you're ready to go stage and race. So the next set of buttons are gonna be bump and Transbrake. So I'll show you guys what we have to try to install, and then we'll stumble through some of the wiring together. I'm gonna have to look it up because I've never put one in, but I know there's resources, and I'll let you guys know where I go to get those things to find the actual like diagrams, if you will, to put it together. So I'll show you some of the things we got, and then I will show you the button we put in for the line lock. All right, open sesame. Okay, so before it gets too dark, on, and then that's off. And then I also wired in an LED on the hot leg from this to the actual solenoid. So let me put the battery on and I'll show you guys. And then you can hear the solenoid too, because you'll hear it click. So my battery is still alive. So he hasn't run a couple weeks. Oh, and then I also, you can't see it over there, but I wired up the fan as well. So I have this. I don't have to turn it really to the on position because I have this wired direct, but I will show you if I turn this on. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but the fan underneath works, so I got that wired too, which I forgot. And then this guy. So on and off. And I think you can hear the solenoid click. So that is what we got done last time, I forgot. So I did wire the transmission fan. So I've got line lock wired, transmission fan.
It's false.
Transmission fan, the transmission cooler fan wired. And then today is all about trying to figure out how to wire, like I said, the Transbrake and the bump. And here's my box of wiring goodness. Workbench. All right, here's my box of wiring shame for the most part. And I had it somewhere, bam, ta-da. My friend Roy came through and he had one of these, he had multiples. He was planning on making like a bump box himself. And so this will work for my bump box through my Holly setup. So we will need that. And then also, put these guys over here. Here are my switches. You stay in there. Stay. I ordered these. So I got some Bido, I think that's how you say it, switches. So we got the big one. Big mushroom guy, probably the Transbrake, and then we'll do this little green guy for the bump. And we will mount these somehow on the steering wheel. I'm not going to mount them up, but if I can at least get them wired in, I think that's cool enough. So that is that. That is it. That's what we are trying to accomplish today. Just get these wired up. Other than that, the only other thing is I actually put the shifter cable in the wrong hole on the shifter arm. So today I'm going to address that because it keeps bothering me, and I keep remembering to fix it, but I haven't. So we were wrong when we were taking the test drive around the block, and I'm hoping that changes the mannerism of the shifter and how the car goes into gear and all that stuff, which it should, because it's the wrong hole. That means it's not moving the right distance. We'll see how far we get. It's wiring. It's gonna take a lot of time to do a little bit. Let's go. All right, so I spent a little bit of time digging around on the internet, trying to find how to wire a Transbrake, and lo and behold, good old Mr. Happles, Hooples, or Slab Mechanics put up a nifty little diagram, and we put it in the wiki. So if you guys are building things and you are part of the Slab Mechanics empire, check the wiki. So I just did. I didn't have to log on and ask a question and get roasted by everybody on there, which is amazing, by the way. I love when people do get roasted, but I don't have time for that today because I'm actually trying to get stuff done. So it's not Meme Friday, it's Transbrake Day. I will put this on the screen, the diagram, and this is from Matt Happel. He made this. I did not. I'm just going to follow what he did, make my life simple and get rolling. So it's actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And then it's just the inputs from the Terminator X to the solid state relay, which is powered, and then that's outputs the power to the Transbrake in the car, and then the buttons go into the computer. That's it. We will get to wiring. Thank you again, Matt Happel, Slab Mechanics. I wouldn't be nearly as far as I am with my turd car if it wasn't for Slab Mechanics. I am not a genius. Matt Hooples and the whole team over at Sloppy is #1. So let's go pick up what they're putting down. All right, so first step was to make this little jumper guy, and then I think the next step is to pick a location to mount it, and then I will use this. I found this is just a fusible link. So once this is mounted, I can run power to this, and then from this into the hot side, that takes care of that. And then this portion of it will power the actual solenoid on the Transbrake. And then down here, this last little guy is the input from the Terminator X. And then these buttons will be the inputs to the computer. So it's actually really not that complicated. And then we will continue following this wonderful diagram. It's easier if the door open, but all right, look at all that room for activities. All right, I got the bad boy mounted right there. And then on a side note, which really is not exciting, I bent down to go mount that thing, and I caught my pants on where the seat mounts, and I just blew out my good pants. And I'm really bummed. It's the only pair of good pants I have, so now I gotta go pants shopping. Yeah, I went to bend down, and I caught this somehow, and all right, back to it. They are jamming here tonight. Hopefully you guys can hear me over the music they got going. So I mounted, oh, terrible lighting, horrible cameraman. Mounted it on the right side, that is the power coming in. The left side, that's the power going out to the Transbrake, which I fed through the big hole that I got where everything else is coming through. So that's up underneath the car. We'll lift it up and tie that in a little while. And then now this line here, the last doozy, this is the input to this from the Terminator X, which is going to be in this bundle here. I got to figure out which one I want to feed this bad boy and then make a note of that. And then we will get on to buttons on the steering wheel. So the buttons input to the computer. Computer tells this guy what to do. This thing makes the party happen. And then all hell breaks loose, and hopefully we have fun instead of broken parts. But yeah, we'll keep going. So at this point, I've got buttons kind of just hanging out, and then figuring out where I'm going to mount these. And then what I did for power to the solid state relay is I actually stole the same power that runs this guy here, this solenoid, for my line lock, because this is just momentary. So this will be on for a burnout, and then you turn it off and you don't use it the rest of the run. So this will be on and then off, and then it's on the same circuit to power the Transbrake and the bump. And I figured that's just an easy way, so I'm not adding all these power wires and trying to find places to pull power, because I already have a spot, I already have it run pretty much over there. If that makes any sense, and they should carry the same load, it should be fine. But for those of you guys that don't know electronics, and granted, I'm not like a wiring guru, but I'm trying not to make, I already kind of have a rat's nest going, so I'm trying to keep it simple. So when I'm at the track and I have an issue, I'll go, oh, this is with that. Or if I blow a fuse, you kind of know where things are. We are working on it, it's a work in progress. I just want to go fast. So I pulled the wiring schematic on here, went to Holley.com, and then you choose the ECU setup you have. I have the Holley Terminator X, and then I picked the model that I have, and they actually have a chart that tells you inputs, outputs, all that. So I can go down to the cluster of inputs and outputs from the ECU and connect one output from the ECU as a negative to the solid state relay, and then that will activate the Transbrake, and it'll either activate it full on, or when I push the other button it'll pulse with it, and that's what the bump feature is. So I have to go to the input side, and that's where the two buttons are going to input to the ECU. It outputs to the solid state relay that controls the Transbrake. If any of this makes sense, I've already confused myself. We're going to keep rolling. You get it. You kind of know. Alright, so I pull my cluster of wires down. So your grays are your outputs from the ECU, and then the whites are going to be inputs. So some of these I have spent already, and then these are the ones that I don't. So I'm going to go with the red and gray, which I believe is like the number 2, but we'll double check. And then I'll just take this and you stick it right here to the negative side. And then this thing is essentially wired in. I just have to wire it to the actual Transbrake, and then I will pick my 2 input colors on here. I'll let you know what they end up being, and then one will be bump and one will be Transbrake, and then we will put this rat's nest back in its home, and we will be golden. So let me terminate these, get it hooked up, and then put my cluster F back. Alright, so I am now on to wiring the buttons. And essentially all these things do is they ground. So it just sends a ground signal to the ECU. So I dug out the 2 wires that are going to be my input wires, red and white, and I believe it's white and black, a little hard to see. All I'm going to do is I'll take the white lead on both of these buttons, and I'll wire one white lead to one and the other to the other one. And I'll take both of the black leads and then ground these. So when you hit the button, it makes a connection between this wire and the ground. That's essentially all it is. And that tells the computer what it should do on its end. Under there, that guy. I'm gonna have to spend a day like really messing with all this stuff and cleaning it up, but at least it'll be wired in. I can kind of hang the buttons here. And then when the cage gets welded up, we are gonna be good to go. So this is it. This is like the last of the Mohicans for me to do, besides configure it in the software, which I don't even have my laptop today, but we'll just get this done and we're gonna call it a victory. All right, well, it is getting late. I'm pretty much done for this evening. I am toast. We got the wiring for the most part done, aside from actually putting this thing on the lift so I can get to the Transbrake solenoid and finalize the wiring. Well, there's a truck behind me. It's kind of late, and I'd have to shimmy this thing around, and I really don't feel like doing it because I don't have my laptop anyway, so I can't do the ins and outs on the computer and all that other fun stuff. So I'd rather just save it for another video because we'll wire that up. I'll show you guys how we configure it, and then I'd like to see if it works, because at this point, even if I complete it, I don't know if it works still. Hell, I could be doing it wrong for all I know. But if you guys like this video, remember to like, subscribe, and share. You got to stick around because we're getting close. As soon as this thing is getting welded on, I will put a comment in the section, what is that, my community tab, so you guys all know that it's going down, and then we're going to start making some noise with this thing and hopefully making some passes. That is it. Like, subscribe, share. I'm out.